For today's episode, we're doing kind of a follow-up. We are doing a part 2 of the Oblockians that got caught up in the FBG Duck murder. If you don't know or haven't watched the previous video, go ahead, watch the previous video. If you don't feel like watching it, that's also cool. We do have you right there. We got you covered on a little synopsis right here. Pretty much what happened on August 4th, 2020, FBG Duck is shopping in the fancy side of Chicago at the Dolce & Gabbana store for a gift for his son. He is seen by a man named Turpin. Turpin phones in the Oblockians. The Oblockians do their thing, run down on Duck. Duck dies. You guys can piece it together what happened. From that point, not long after, 6 members of O-Block, they're arrested. And although they were masked up in full savage gear, ready to do a hit. Unfortunately for them, this was all captured on videotape, surveillance, text threat messages, evidence left behind, etc., what have you, leaving a nice good paper trail for the federal government. Do you want to go ahead and take us a little deeper into what the feds thought about O-Block?
Federal jury Wednesday found 6 purported gang members guilty of carrying out the brazen 2020 murder of drill rapper FBG Duck in the city's posh Gold Coast neighborhood. The jury of 5 men and 7 women who have remained anonymous due to security concerns surrounding the case deliberated for about 16 hours over 3 days before announcing it had reached a verdict, finding the group guilty of murder in furtherance of a racketeering scheme. Convicted of murder in the aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder were Charles Liggins, 32, Kenneth Roberson, 30, Christopher Thomas, 24, Marcus Smart, 25, Tacarlos Offord, 32, and Ralph Turpin, 34. Liggins, Roberson, Thomas, Smart, and Offord were also found guilty of using a firearm in Weekly's murder. The verdicts were mixed in the other 4 counts, which stemmed from wounds suffered by 2 bystanders also injured in Weekly's killing. A life sentence is mandatory for a conviction of murder in the aid of racketeering. The sentencing hearings are expected in August and September.
So, as I had said, there's a whole big bag of evidence that the feds have. So the feds have just copious amounts of paper trail and everything just kind of pointing to them. The Oblockians kind of left a little, breadcrumbs on the way there, so they remembered their way home, whatever have you. With all that being said, do you kind of want to give us a little bit more insight as far as the arguments that both legal sides had that led to this decision?
Prosecutors alleged Weekly's high-profile killing was part of a deadly, years-long conflict between 2 Southside gang factions whose members boasted about their exploits in eliminating rivals through drill rap tracks that often name-drop specific victims. In her closing argument last week, the attorney for the lead defendant, Liggins, accused prosecutors of losing the ability to distinguish entertainment fantasy from reality, portraying the Southside rap culture as a lucrative entertainment business. Even Duck's diss track Dead Bitches, which mocked Liggins' slain associates in the O-Block gang faction and, according to prosecutors, led to his own fatal shooting, was good business for Weekly, as well as his main rival, drill rapper King Von, attorney Cynthia Giacchi said. Part of YouTube promotion is clickbait. That's what this was about, Giacchi said in her closing remarks to jurors last week, and it was making them both rich, Giacchi said, noting that Von was known for buying diamonds for his entire entourage while, on the afternoon of his slaying, Weekly was shopping at the most exclusive and expensive street in Chicago. In rebuttal, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Julian said it was actually the defendants who had a problem with reality, displaying on courtroom monitors some of the shooting victims the jury heard about during the racketeering trial, beginning with the 2011 killing of 15-year-old Shondale Tuka Gregory at a Southside bus stop. He was murdered in real life, Julian said. He wasn't murdered in a recording studio. He's no longer here. Julian also argued most of the defendants, including Liggins, weren't rappers in their own right, and their social media posts extolling murder and violence weren't an effort to win any Grammys. The killings, which occurred over a period of nearly a decade, culminated for your purposes in the murder of this man, Julian told the jury, displaying a photo of a smiling Weekly, holding his young son as they stood next to a Paw Patrol character. On the afternoon of August 4th, 2020, Weekly was shopping for a birthday present for his son on East Oak Street when Turpin happened to walk into the same Dolce & Gabbana store and immediately called his gang associates to alert them, prosecutors said. Although the shooters were wearing masks, several prosecution witnesses identified the defendants in the videos based largely on their clothing and other identifying features. Attorneys for the 6 defendants, however, said that none of the identifications were believable, and that most of the witnesses were paid informants and YouTube opportunists who were lying either to save their own skin or to cash in on Weekly's killing. They were the worst witnesses I've ever been subjected to, said Turpin's attorney, Mark Barnett, who called them alternately profane, disrespectful, and untruthful. They claimed to know everything about the underbelly of Chicago, but they had nothing to say about Ralph Turpin, Barnett said. In his rebuttal, Julian said prosecutors brought in a broad cross-section of witnesses, and if some of them were gang members and violent criminals, it's because that was the world the defendants lived in, and it's impossible to fire up the DeLorean and go back in time and change it.
I, from the beginning, kind of thought that there was not a snowball chance in hell that these guys were going to come off on a not guilty verdict. It's just too much evidence had piled up. There was really nothing that they could have done to change this. Their lawyers tried their best, but the only defense that they could pull up after all of this evidence had come forth, it was a weak defense. In reality, I do believe that if Vaughn was still here, Vaughn would have been a part of this. I believe it would have been a 7 O-Block member indictment. I don't believe it would have just been the 6, and I think all of them would have went to prison for life. Let us know down in the comments below what you guys think of this. Were you guys rooting for the O-Blockians? Are you happy that justice has been served for Duck? Do you think that there was enough evidence? Let us know all that down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. With that being said, I'm Rugburn.
And I'm Pickled Landon.
And this is Tombstone Tourist.